Before I get into this video, I want to apologize just in case there's any background noise, because that walls in my house are very thin and my mic is pretty sensitive and it could very well pick up stuff going on outside or even perhaps in other rooms outside the room in my house. So if that's the case, I apologize, but oh man, the YTBC. It's not even just the YTBC, it's just the online boxing community. What the hell is going on with this ideology that certain fighters are just so damn charismatic that the only reason people hate on them, quote unquote, or don't like them is because these people are racist? I swear I've never seen the whole racism card being thrown around and just slung around more ever before than it is now. And don't get it twisted and think I'm talking about black people only. That it's, it's just black people and maybe other minorities throwing it around. No, it gets better. It's white people too. Particularly with one fighter. Maybe two, maybe. But one fighter in particular. And even on the black side, I see it more with two fighters off the top of my head that you see it thrown around with a lot. This idea that, people don't like these fighters just because they're racist. So you have a certain portion of black boxing fans, and I'm sure it's a vocal minority, by the way. I'm sure it's a minority, who think that if you don't like Andre Ward, and if you don't like Guillermo Rigondeaux, you're racist. You're racist if you don't like them because they're so damn charismatic. Because they're the most thrilling fighters on the planet. How could you not like them? And then if we go on the flip side, Gennady Golovkin. That's the big one. Maybe Vasyl Lomachenko to a small degree, but really it's Golovkin. You got these fanboys who claim the people who don't like Golovkin are black people or other minorities who are racist. And they just don't want to see a white man succeed. They can't fathom that there's a white guy beating other black people and Hispanics and what have you. Really? That's all it boils down to. So there's no other possible reason why someone wouldn't like Gennady Golovkin or Andre Ward or Guillermo Rigondeaux. It's so bizarre. It makes no sense to me that people really try to narrow it down and just throw out any other possibility. Really? Everybody's racist. Everybody. You don't like a fighter? Oh, it comes down to race. Let's look at the fighters mentioned. Andre Ward. I like him, personally. I actually just watched part of his press conference for the Barrera fight. I liked a lot of his answers to questions. That somebody asked him, yo, Andre, Sullivan Barrera said he's going to knock you out in the 8th or something like that. What are your thoughts? And Andre Ward said something to the effect of, that sounds great. Love that response. But is Andre Ward a particularly exciting fighter? Let's be honest here. Even if you're a Ward fanboy, if you ride for Ward all day, how exciting is Andre Ward really? Is watching Andre Ward like watching Arturo Gatti? Do you watch an Andre Ward fight and you get the excitement out of it that you get in Castillo Corrales, Barrera Morales, Marquez Vasquez? No, I don't think you do. How about the fact that he was inactive for so long? Don't you think some people started to get tired of his diehard fans always bringing him up when he wasn't even relevant? You ever consider that as a reason why people might not like Andre Ward, is that you as a fan are so damn obnoxious, you turn people off from that fighter? Is Andre Ward really all that charismatic? Are you watching Andre Ward press conference and you're laughing your ass off because he's so funny and charming? He seems like a cool dude. But does he even have the personality of an Adrian Broner? Like him or hate him, most people don't just feel indifferent to Broner. He either entertains you or you can't stand him. Andre Ward, a lot of people could just care less about. What about Guillermo Rigondeaux? Let's go back to the exciting thing. Is he particularly thrilling? In his last fight, I forget the dude he fought, it was the Filipino guy. You know that in many rounds he threw less than 20 punches? And in several rounds, right? Multiple rounds, he landed less than 10 punches. That sound exciting to you? You're gonna pitch that to somebody and make a fan out of that fighter? Oh yeah, he's great to watch. In certain fights, he doesn't even throw 10 punches around. Or maybe throws 12 and lands 9. Great accuracy. I like Rigondeaux too. I thought his performance against Donaire was spectacular. A great boxing performance. I thought one of his recent fights against a Japanese guy whose name I'm blanking on, it begins with a Y. It's like Yamanaka or something like that. Yamagasa maybe. The dude came at him the whole time, forced Rigondeaux to fight, made it an entertaining fight. If you say that all Rigondeaux fights are boring, you're wrong. Look at that fight. That fight will entertain you. Because he was forced to engage. But if he's not being forced to engage, and you want to see an action fight, and you don't really care for beautiful, pure boxing, and you don't have the patience for it, then it makes sense you wouldn't be a Rigondeaux fan. He doesn't do it for you. It's not about racism. It's about the fact that he bores you. Let's shift over to Gennady Golovkin. I like all three of these guys, for the record. I love Golovkin's style. Don't mind his personality, like the fact that he seems pretty humble, doesn't talk crap. But what's the main knock on Golovkin? That he hasn't fought top-level competition and that he's getting older. Are those statements false? No. I ride for Golovkin all day, but I'm not going to sell you that he's fought the best competition in the world, because that's not true. So if people don't like him because they feel that they want to see him in with tougher competition, they have a point. It doesn't boil down to race. Are there people who might not like Golovkin, minorities who may feel that he gets a whole bunch of hype because he's white? Sure there are. Are there people, racist white people, who might not like Andre Ward Rigondeaux just because they don't want to see a black man succeed, or at least not the elite part of the sport? I'm sure there is. Of course, not even I'm sure, of course there are. But to just simplify it to, if you don't like Andre Ward, it's because you're racist, and everybody who doesn't like Andre Ward's racist, everybody who doesn't like Golovkin's racist, everybody who doesn't like Rigondeaux's racist, you're out of your damn mind. That's so short-sighted. It's so narrow-minded. These guys aren't the most charismatic dudes in the world, I'm sorry to tell you. That's just the reality of the situation. And let's not kid ourselves here. Boxing is an extremely racially, ethnically based and rooted sport. Any combat sport is. People gravitate toward the fighters they feel represent them, or they can relate to. People who look like them. Like you'll hear some idiots say, oh, all these black YouTubers, they're pushing Terrence Crawford to the front of them. They love Mayweather, they love all this, and it's because they're black. Yeah, no shit. Because you like cheering for people who look like you, who you feel resemble you in somewhere, whom you can relate to. Everybody does. That's not racism. And make no mistake about it. You may be drawn to a particular style. You may be drawn to a guy who is a knockout puncher. You may be drawn to a guy who is a pure boxer. You might be drawn to a guy who's a knockout puncher, but more of an inside fighter. So you can always be drawn to styles, and different styles obviously have different colors. Fighters of all ethnicities and races have all different types of styles. But if you're a black man and you like aggressive inside fighters, and you see an aggressive inside fighter who's black and who's good, you're probably going to like that guy more than you like an aggressive inside fighter who's Hispanic or white, because you have more in common with the black fighter. If you're a white fan and you like a technical boxer, you may like Pernell Whitaker, you may like Floyd Mayweather, but more than those two, you might like Willie Pep or Nicolino Loche more, because you feel you have more in common with him, or he represents you more than those other two. That's not racism, necessarily anyway. It's just a natural racial bias, right? It is racial, but just because it's racial doesn't make it racism. It comes down to nationalism. It comes down to being the same ethnicity. We're all biased. Anyone who tells you they watch the sport and they're not at least a little bit biased on some level is full of shit. We're biased in terms of where the fighters come from. If we feel that they represent us or they look like us, we're going to be a little bit biased toward them. We're going to be biased towards the styles that we like. We might be biased toward the way the fighter presents themselves. We might like guys who talk shit. Some people don't like guys who talk shit. You have those biases. Everybody is biased. Everybody. To some degree. Being a Puerto Rican, growing up watching boxing, my favorite fighter was Felix Trinidad. Why? Because he's Puerto Rican. I liked Oscar De La Hoya a lot too. Why? Because he's also Latino. I like Trinidad more than De La Hoya. Why? Because De La Hoya ain't Puerto Rican. That's not racist. You can't simplify everybody disliking a fighter to just them, oh, they're racist. Come on, man. It's ridiculous, and everybody seems to be doing it on all sides. It's absurd. Listen, you say what you want. I'm not trying to say that people don't have the right to say it. You have the right to say whatever stupid shit comes to your mind. But there's a difference between an opinion and an informed opinion. It's important to make that distinction. You can have your opinion. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily informed, well-crafted, smart, based in reality or fact, based in objectivity. But anyway, nobody's gonna see this video, so am I rambling on for? I'm getting out of here, man.